You.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to talk about something I saw in the airport on yesterday. And it's going to pose a question that I see happening in our society and our culture. And I would like you guys, as the quality people's input as well. And so I'm in the airport and we have to check bags because we're carrying a bunch of camera equipment. So I have like 4 bags and plus a book bag. And when I say bags, I mean like Pelican cases. If you don't know what that is, it's like the hard, heavy duty carrying equipment cases. And I got 2 of those, and then I have a big, duffel bag that I carry some stuff in as well. And so we're in line to check bags, and Trent, the guy who runs TJ3 History, we were just talking, and we were talking about kids in some capacity. I forgot exactly what we were talking about. And then this guy that's behind us, he was a black gentleman, and I guess he just overheard us, and he just wanted to say his 2 cents, and he was like, "Them kids, man," and he just starts going off about how kids was basically just a burden. He was like, "I have 4 of them MFers," and I mean, he was using expletives, which isn't the point of what I was saying, but basically the heart of what he was saying was like, man, I had to put him through college. He was like, it's not worth it. And he was like, I have a grandkid. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, congratulations. Like, you have a grandkid. He was like, yeah, I guess it's good. But he was like, you could tell, like, he was genuinely like, no, kids aren't worth it. And that's something that I kind of see
so sad.
permeating throughout society. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, after we checked our bags, we go to security, and there was a couple of young ladies, well, I guess middle-aged ladies, that fell in the security line a couple rows behind us. So we would pass them as we were, looping around. And their shirts had on it said passports, and it had like the check mark. It had suitcase, and it had the check mark, and it had no kids, and then it had the check mark. And I was like, man, like,
why are you like?
I was like, that's interesting. I mean, and to be fair, it could be a situation where they're always caring for their kids or caring for kids in some capacity, and they're like, okay, now I'm free to kind of just chill with my friends. But I see stuff like that all the time, to where it's like, no, I need to escape from my family unit and go experience the world solo. But it's like, life is meant to be experienced with other people. Like, life is kind of meaningless if you're just walking through it alone. We're social creatures. And I just see families just, doing their own things rather than building community. And then everybody's complaining about the community. And it's like, well, build the community that you want to see. And so that's why I wanted to pose, like, what's going on out here? Like, why is there a lack of emphasis on family now? Do you have any thoughts? This is for the chat. This is for the chat too. So please.
Why is there a lack
please
of
comment.
emphasis on family, on the family unit? Well, everyone's selfish. It's a selfish thing now. Everyone, like, the whole no kids movement is because people are selfish, and because...
Well, I would venture to say everybody's selfish in some capacity.
Yeah, but I feel like the people that are like, no kids, I don't want any kids, and they don't have like a valid reason for not wanting kids, or like even like the guy that was in line with you guys, and he was like, I had to put them through college, I had to do this, like, they're not that great. It's like, well, it's a mindset thing. Like, if he changed his mindset to be like, oh wow, I learned so much through having kids. Or I mean, granted, I don't have kids yet, but I just feel like if you change your mindset about it and you're like, oh, kids are actually a blessing,
so it'd
be different.
So it's like more of like where he sets his focus. It's like he's focusing on what he had to give up rather than focusing on, hey, I have 4 kids that are now that actually went to college, and he didn't say whether they graduated or not. I would imagine graduated college and now are productive members of society. That is a huge win. Like, that's amazing. But instead of saying like, no, like, kids, man, maybe it was a little bit of a struggle to get them through college, but look what they're able to do now.
Yeah, and I can just only imagine, like, if you're going through, like, one, you felt the need to share your opinion on
Right.
not liking having kids. But two, like, I can just imagine how you were as a parent if you were just had this attitude
Yeah.
about your kids like that.
But the other
You know?
thing is he's flying too. So it's not like he's I mean, of course you can receive gifts or whatever, or it could be like an emergency where you just have to scramble together a few dollars. But like he's about to get on a plane. Like we're afforded this great luxury to be able to get on these flying buses and go pretty much anywhere we want in the world, especially as Americans. And he's complaining about his family. And yes, getting on a plane and being able to go anywhere can, you know, fragment you from society or fragment you from your community or family. But really, it was meant to be able to bring people together. So if they happen to be spread out, we could all come together. We can get on a plane and go see our cousins. We can get on a plane and go see our mom if we're not, or our parents if we're not living close to them anymore. So it's just like, man. And I think you kind of hit the point where it was like, yeah, it comes down to like, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the good? Or are you focusing on what you had to sacrifice? Because that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know at what point during his 4 kids where he was like, I don't like having kids. But it's like, you made the choice in the sense to have kids.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, you made the choice in some capacity. You may not have wanted them when they came, but I mean, he had 4. So I mean, you're gonna tell me
you had to be like, okay, I don't
all
want
4
any
of them
more
were a
kids.
mistake. It's like, oh, come on, man. So, and that's not to diminish this guy or anything. I just saw this and I thought it was a good topic to kind of talk about. But again, he's focusing on what he had to sacrifice, and that's kind of upside down from what Jesus is, what the pattern of Christ is, where you focus on what you can sacrifice to make the world better. And so this guy sacrificed a lot. He was like, I paid over $1 million to get him through college. And it's like,
Okay.
dude, that's great. It's like you sacrificed $1 million
blessing.
so that we could have 4 members of society with a higher level of education. Also, you know, Black members of society as well, who have been, you know, traditionally marginalized. And we always talk about how we're still oppressed and all this, but then it's like now you're complaining about getting them a higher level of education. It's like, come on. So yeah, let's go to the chats and see what the quality people are saying.
We got, children are blessings from the Lord. I love being a mom to my 2 beautiful boys / men.
Amen. Yeah, we some men around here. I'll see you in a little bit, Mama. She called me. She was like, I need your help. I need to move some mats because she's building a gym. And so she got it painted today. Looks great.
Nice.
And so and I was like, I can't. I'm about to go live. And she was like, oh, I got my computer out here. So yeah. but that should be the relationship between, you know, your family is we should be building a community together. We should be able to rely on each other and lean on each other because we're walking through life together. And Jesus also says, like, if you have stuff happens within a family, but Jesus says when you pray, like, you need to forgive people before you do anything else. So, and I think that Bible verse is coming up in our next segment. All right, let's go.
Yeah, and to add on to what you were saying, that's something I really appreciate about you is how you're very focused on building the tribe, like down the road, which is so
right. Yeah, because it's like in order to build, like, towns were built around families, and so you always hear about the couple of families that built this town and they run everything, and then people are complaining that they run everything. But it's like they stuck around and they built the community how they wanted to build it. And it's like, if you don't like it, you can
Go
you
build
can
yours.
move somewhere else and build your community in the same manner that, or in the same way that they built their community, maybe in a different manner. But don't complain. If you want something to change, then go about the democratic process of changing it, or move to a place where you can, have more of a
Thrive. Yeah.
clean slate. That's the beauty of the country that we live in. Is it not going up?
Oh, there it is.
Okay. They sure are, Sonia.
I love my little ladies to no end. Such a joy. Thanks, Mom. Love you too.
So she's talking about you and your sister, because I
Yeah.
don't think anybody else is going to understand.
Yeah, that's why I
But-
said thanks, Mom.
I know, but she says like little lady, so I don't think people know that you have a sister that
Oh yeah, I
that
do
don't
have a
know
sister.
you.
Yeah, I do
So
have
that's what I was
a
saying
little
that.
sister. Yeah, so yes, I do. Kenya said it before I could type it. Folks are selfish and are too materialistic to see the value of family.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, and going to that point, they're selfish in a bad way, right? It's like, it's one thing, because I mean, you have to focus on yourself, but you want to focus on yourself in a manner that allows you to pour out in a selfless way, right? And so it's the image of, your cup has to be filled before you pour into others, and so you have to, go through the world, back to that commandment: love God with all your heart, mind, soul. Let God fill you up, because I heard something interesting today. It's like, this guy I was listening to who, goes through a lot of like Bible stuff and kind of dispels some of the doctrine that we have in the church. He was like, you are co-creating like your, better self with God. And that's to say, basically, like, God is drawing you into, and he's drawing you up into a better person. Whether it's, that, and as he draws you up, that is spilling out into all your life. And so you kind of climb. That's like the image of the mountain. You're climbing this mountain because God's up here, and you're kind of climbing up the mountain. You're getting more discipline. You're getting more self-aware. You're able to have more self-control in the things that you do, and then that spills down the mountain into all the areas of your life. And so it's not focused on, oh, I follow this rule, I go through life this way. It's like, no, it's, I'm being transformed in a virtue, my virtues are being transformed in a positive way. And as a result, that's able to spill out around me. And then once it's down the mountain, it spills out into the rest of the world. And so then the rest of the world is transformed around you as a result.
When they get old, they will regret not having kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's actually statistics that I think Allie from the Royal Femme Sapien
Yeah, she
quotes a
says a lot.
statistic a lot. Basically, like, a lot of women over, I think it's like the age of 38, when they're childless, over 40 or 50 or something, they basically regret just not having kids, even though they chose not to have kids. And so I think it's a primal urge for most women. And so I think that the world is selling you a lie in a lot of senses, where they're saying like, no, like, women don't have to raise kids, they can be out in the workforce, and it's not fair that they have to have kids in some senses. And I'm like, well, that's their, God-given ability. And I agree. Like, I mean,
like, that's
women could
purpose.
be working, professional working women, but again, it's like you have to sacrifice for the life that you envision. And so if you make the sacrifice to say, oh, I'm just going to chase being a professional woman and not have kids, you have to live with the consequences of your actions, and vice versa. If you don't chase that and you only stay home with your kids, then maybe you had the itch to be a professional woman, and it's like, well, I'll never know now. Or but I mean, in a sense, you have more time to do that because you can always pick up a skill, go to school or what have you, and try to, climb up the professional ranks.
Hmm.
But kids, there's absolutely a window that you have, and so as a young woman, you do have some important decisions to make.
Yeah, there was something I heard a while ago, but basically a woman, she was like 35, 36 or something like that, and she was talking to someone else, and she was like, and the other person was also childish and around the same age. And she was like, "Do you feel like you're missing something, like you're missing your purpose or something's off?" And the lady was like, "Yeah." And I think this was something Allie was talking about, but basically it was like, um, kind of going back to what you were saying, it's like that's your God given ability
Hmm.
to be able to have kids, or
Well, especially if you can have
if you
kids.
can,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, well, yeah, it's gonna feel like you're missing something because you're not fulfilling that purpose that you could have had.
Right. Right. No,
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get into our last topic, the main event. Love isn't blind. But if you are here live or if you're watching this on the review, check this video out next. We'll be right back with Love Isn't Blind.
Like for the algorithm.